Today, we're joined by Anthony Leung, partner at Haldanes in Hong Kong, to share insights on IP protection and strategy, including the issue of Lafufu counterfeits resembling Labubu.
Yeah, I'm Anthony Leung from Haldanes, and I'm an IP partner of this firm. I'm in the commercial department and specializing in intellectual property, especially intellectual property, portfolio management, IP strategies, and especially in the entertainment and sector.
Okay, thank you very much. On the topic of Labubu's IP branding, so what are the key legal considerations when expanding a brand like Labubu or Pop Mart into new markets?
Well, the big thing about the Labubu is that essentially a rise out of a viral trend. Beforehand, Labubu has been there for more than 10 years, but it suddenly blew up last year due to Lisa and the publication on it online. So this, I think, is a new trend that is basically stuff and items that was always there, but they suddenly blew up and become very popular. We saw the last year with like the Stanley Cup, and this year this is Labubu, and there was also the Dubai chocolate. Yeah, these are all viral trends that are basically a rise naturally. And what is quite interesting about this is I very much doubt any of these are planned. They did not plan to go viral, but it just happened organically. So I think this is something that brand may need to take into consideration on how their marketing going forward and how they should approach marketing in the first place.
Right, like you mentioned that perhaps that they didn't plan for it to grow so fast and rapidly.
Yeah.
So when a brand is suddenly the new hot topic, what are some of the common mistakes brands make when managing their IP portfolios globally?
Well, one of the biggest problem about not necessarily in the case of a brand suddenly going viral, but it's more about a case planning in ahead. There was some brands that have been way too aggressive in their expansion. Like for example, they want to register a lot of trademarks. They want to push out a lot of different products at the same time, and that would incur very substantial legal fees. And that they may incur millions Hong Kong dollars in just to secure trademark portfolio, just that it turns out the product they are making may not resonate, may not do so well, and that would be quite a big mistake. So what I would suggest is something that they need to develop something organically, and maybe first off you start off with your core markets. Like for Labubu, they start off in Southeast Asia, in Hong Kong, and then it's also the same for Labubu, because if you check the Labubu trademark registration, you will see that it was originally quite restricted and were quite old. It was filed more than 10 years ago. But once that when it's got a virality, then it will massively expand and file in much more different places and get a more complete portfolio once it hit the virality. That was something that I would suggest to it.
Okay, I have a following up question. So when a brand like Labubu right now, it's extremely popular. Like you said that they have filed their protection years ago. So what are their next steps now when there are a lot of
Counterfeiting.
Yeah, counterfeit products on the market right now?
Well, counterfeit is quite an interesting phenomenon, because if you know about Labubu, I assume you also know about Lafufu, the counterfeiting trend. That the counterfeit products has become its own fad in essentially Lafufu, that people are going to hunt after Lafufu because it is so cheap and looks so off, that this way that is also it becomes a trend of its own. And the one thing interesting about counterfeiting nowadays is I'm not sure how much counterfeiting would actually affect a brand's value or reputation per se, because it's not like the old days that really people go to counterfeit just as an alternative to the product itself. In many cases, like for the Lafufu, they do not aim to buy Labubu and go for Lafufu, but it's just that they want, because Lafufu is so odd on its own, they buy it just for the sake of Lafufu. And so if you are asking whether this would very substantially affect the reputation of Labubu, I very much doubt it. It's like not like the case of like some high-end luxury bags that people would buy high-end luxury bags just in substitution of an actual genuine product. I'm pretty confident to say this is mostly not the case in here. It's that people are not buying counterfeit as a substitute. So I think you might also consider that whether it is worthwhile to go after such counterfeiting product if you have such a large brand value on its own, that the cost that incur to say go after some factory manufacturing Lafufu may not actually be worthwhile in the first place.
And that moves us to the last question. What kind of advice would you give to emerging artists or creators who wants to build a brand on a character like Labubu?
Well, the one thing I would say is that virality is not something that you can predict. You cannot predict. Lafufu has been there for 10 years, but it just blew up last year for some reason. That's not something that you can actually plan for and you can actually predict. Of course, there are ways that you can try to emulate this trend, for example, by developing organically, hoping that you get some celebrity endorsement, organic celebrity endorsement, not paying for celebrity endorsement. I'm pretty sure Labubu didn't pay Lisa for them, just Lisa did it on her own because she is a fan. So I think that's the key part is more about that. Build up your brand organically and develop followings, develop an organic fan base, develop a community behind this brand, so that with new product come out, then people will spread the word, and that's hopefully you will get more eyeball to it organically. Because nowadays people are quite cynical. If you just try to push a big brand ad campaign, pay for lots of celebrity endorsement, people can look right through it. And there are advertising law everywhere, because, like, for example, in many places, if you are paying a celebrity for endorsement, the celebrity need to disclose it is an ad. And even if not, people can tell whether it is something that she did, the celebrity did herself, by himself or herself, or is paid to do so. It is quite easy to tell apart, especially in this days and age when people are very much aware of how the internet landscape, how the influencer marketing landscape works. So whether it's something is organic, whether it's something real or something is fake, it is quite easy to tell. So it's not like that. If you got, what I would say is don't try to artificially build up a virality. It just doesn't work. And I think it's back to the basics. You need to develop something naturally, organically, and if it go viral, then good. But it should not be an end goal by itself.
We're also joined by Dr. Tingting Fan, Principal Lecturer at HKU Business School, whose expertise in digital marketing, branding, and big data offers valuable insights into innovation and consumer strategy.
So take Labubu as one example. As I said earlier, Labubu has been in this market for years, but it only became like such a big hit in the market since 2020, late 2023, or almost like 2024. And one of the big reasons that Labubu became such a hit was Lisa, right? One of the Blackpink celebrities. So Lisa showed her Labubu on Instagram, and it immediately, caught the attention of Lisa's fans. And Blackpink is worldwide, top celebrities for young consumers. So that actually, helped a lot. Even though, Pop Mart said, made no comments in terms of, whether this is a marketing effort or it's organic, right? Like Lisa just happened to love it. But it's hard to believe that it's entirely organic. And then after that, Pop Mart did a lot of things to promote Labubu. So it's not just about Lisa. It's also about the other celebrities. And they work together with other very big brands like Coca-Cola. Right now, they're working together with Uniqlo. And then also they work with the Louvre, the museum in Paris. So all those efforts are marketing campaigns. And those marketing campaigns has to be very intense. meaning that, whenever you open up your Instagram or Little Red Note, you're gonna see Labubu. So it gives consumers that this is really a hit product in the market. Another interesting thing about IP. So for me, like I'm a pretty kind of like old generation, which means that the moment that I realize something becomes a hit in the market, it's already a late stage. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the end stage, but it's like the stage when the hit product hits the mass market. Because I belong to the mass. I don't I don't belong to the very early, those very trendy younger generation. That it usually, becomes popular within those, very trendy, very hit, kind of, generation. But as the mass market, oftentimes we are the next stage, or maybe a couple of months later, or even, longer. Then we realize something becomes a hit. But that is the definition of a hit product. Like if a product is only popular among a small segment of consumers, that is what we call a niche market. An IP is successful only when it reaches to the mass market. So another thing that you can think about is, a lot of IPs that developed by Universal Studios, like, Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man has been in this market for over 40 years, and everybody knows that, right? So you can compare that scale. And in fact, scarcity, has values, right? So if you think about, Louis Vuitton is not a good comparison, maybe Hermes, right? So like even if you go to the store, they will tell you this fancy handbag has sold out, or you have to be, put into this long waiting list, and you have no idea when you can get it. So scarcity, it has value because it has some, signal effect. This signaling effect says that if you have it, right, that means you are very unique. And most of the time, that uniqueness will be translated into social status.